folks, good morning and welcome to Plymouth, America's hometown. Just so you know who you're dealing with, for the past few years I have been called Leo the Miller. The reason, I ran that mill for 10 years. I no longer run the mill. We obviously have our own museum, so they changed my name from Leo the Miller to Leo the Husband, and this is the reason why. In that museum I am building an exhibit called Family Cornerstone of Society, where we talk about the importance of the family unit and how no society can survive without a strong family. So I am now Leo the Husband. Of course, the question is this, am I qualified? I believe I am. I've been married for 40 years to the same woman. Go figure, huh folks? Yep. And if you want to feel sorry for someone, she's up there. The poor girl's been married to me for 40 years. Anybody here been to Plymouth Plantation? Our plantation, you enjoy it? Good. Here's the deal with Plymouth Plantation, that is not where we built it. When our Pilgrims built Plymouth Plantation, folks, they built it right here on this river. So when we talk about the history in Plymouth, it happened here, not there. The Pilgrims stayed in Plymouth because of this river, which kind of makes sense. You might also know they didn't land in Plymouth at all in the beginning, but way up on the tip of Cape Cod in Provincetown, folks, way up there. Well, that's all sand. That's not a good spot for a plantation. So what the Pilgrims did is put a little boat together they carried with them on the Mayflower. We call that boat a Charlotte. They looked all over Cape Cod for a place to stay, found our river, and stayed here simply because this river gave them three things they had to have. The first is water power. The name of this river is Town Brook. It's 1.5 miles long. But in 1.5 miles, it drops 80 feet. Pretty good place to put a mill. Such a good place, we had 14 mills on the river within 1.5 miles. Keep in mind, however, that mill, the Jenny Mill, that is the site of the oldest mill in the United States. That mill was originally built in 1636. Second thing about the river, if it never rained in Plymouth again, the water level will never drop. Folks, our river is spring-fed. We have a constant flow of water coming out of the ground. The ground in Plymouth also has sand in it. So when the water comes up through that sand, it is being filtered. It does run into the river fresh drinking water. They got drinking water and water power. But you folks, you're all smart. You know sand's good for filtering. Not very good for growing corn. Folks, we have to fertilize heavily in Plymouth, and the river supplies that. Our fertilizer fish, we call them herring. Herring live in the ocean. But when they spawn, when they have their babies, they have them up in our pond. That means every spring they migrate by the mill, Pilgrims take them out of the river, put them in the ground, fertilize and grow the corn. By the way, they did go upstream for 6 weeks this past spring. We had a little over 112,000 fish go by this building. For 6 weeks, you cannot see the bottom of our river. It is solid fish. 112,000 went up that 3-foot wide canal. That is called a fish ladder. So as you can see, we have all the fertilizer, water power, and fresh water you could use, all supplied by one river. Not a bad place to put a plantation, especially if you consider they were 200 miles off course. Folks, some things just happen. You know what, people, I tell this to people all the time. They look at me and say, boy, were they lucky or what? You know what I say to them? Or what? Yeah, they would have considered that the providence of God, folks. The reason I bring this up, everything the Pilgrims did, they did because of their faith. If we leave it out of the story makes no sense. So they did believe in the providence of God, and I believe in too that that was what that was. Right across the street on Burial Hill, the original site of Plymouth Plantation. Right there on Watson's Hill, the original site of Hobbamark's Village, the Indian village. They were right next to each other. Only thing separating them was the river. So what we'll be doing right now is taking a walk down Town Brook, then we'll be going up Leyden Street. Leyden Street is the original site of Plymouth Plantation. Now folks, I'm going to be telling you an awful lot of stuff. I'm going to be talking fast. You're going to have to listen fast, okay? Anybody at all has a question, be sure to ask me, and naturally, if I do not know the answers to your questions, I make stuff up. Does that work for you? Cool. Let's take a stroll.